Good evening and welcome once again to this week's episode of It's My Turn Now, where everyone gets an opportunity to just share with us what your thoughts are about the various subjects that we talk about. This is Black History Month, and for the month of February, this will be our theme dealing with Black history. I want to have some entrepreneurs, young African American entrepreneurs. I think it's important that we reflect on um, the Black history, what it's all about. A lot of people are still trying to find out uh, our history. I think it's important that we recognize our history, that we let you know what's going on. I'm trying to make sure that that you can see me. Last week we did have problems coming uh, on the program, so let me know if you're able to see us on here. Please leave a comment. Again, we've been having challenges with the StreamYard going public, and so I hope you're able to see me on here. If you are, just leave a message. Let me know that you're on here and it's public. So please feel free to let me know. I'm going to give you a chance. As I say every week, please share it. Share with your friends. Let them know that it's my turns on the air. Last week, we had trouble going public. There were some that were able to see it and some were not able to see it. Even though we were on here on time, it just didn't broadcast publicly. So I'm going to give you a little time to share. But again, I want you to just feel free to give your comments. There is a link on my Facebook page for anyone who wants to come on. You can click the link. Someone told me last week, they said, I would like to have come on live and gotten involved in the session. Well, you can, anyone can come on. You can be our special guest on tonight if you so desire. I have just click the link. We'll hear you, give you a comment or whatever your thoughts are. And we love to hear what your thoughts are. Again, the subject tonight is the importance of Black History Month and what it means to you. This being Black History Month, oftentimes we take certain days we just take for granted. We take Black History Month comes and it goes. And I think especially the younger generation, they don't really realize the importance of the Black History Month. So I just wonder what your thoughts are. Do you think that Black History Month is important? And it's not just for African American; it's for everyone. As I say, Black history is everyone's history. I can remember some years ago when before I retired from AT&T, I remember I was over the Equity and Inclusion Committee, Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Committee, which basically dealt with different minorities and things like that. And what I would do every year is I would put on some type of activity to make those various groups to make them aware of the Black history. And I remember one time what I did was I put a poster board up and I put different Black individuals, historians, people who were popular, who are well known. I put them on the board, picture them, but beside it, I had a list of individuals of what they had done. And so I gave everyone a chance to match the person's name with what they did. Now, again, as I said, Black history is everyone's history. So what I did was I connected that uh, and I give everyone a chance and I presented a prize. I actually, furnished a prize with my own money, supplied my own money. And the person, believe it or not, the person who actually won the prize, who was most knowledgeable of the Black history, was not African American. Actually, it was a Caucasian. So again, Black history is everyone's history. I think it's important that we all know. And so, what I want this program to do on tonight, what I want this program to do tonight, I want to inform you and to educate you. And those of you that are watching it, feel free to give us your comments, share with us your thoughts about Black history. What does that mean to you? All right. First one, Sister Shirley Walton said, praise the Lord, everyone. Thank you. I'm glad to know that you are able to see us. But let us know what your thoughts are. And hopefully by the end of this program, you can share with us what your thoughts are on Black history. And maybe you can gain some insight as to Black history. There are a lot of African Americans who have contributed to our history, and sometimes they go unnoticed. And in the times that we're living in right now, a lot of times people are not as aware. Well, thank you, Sister Shirley said she shared. Thank you for sharing. I'm encouraging you to share as well. Again, look on my Facebook page. If you want to come on live, there is a link on my Facebook page right before this program. If you look down, you may have those down. You look down and you can click on the link and you can come. So I don't want anyone, who wants to come on not to be able to come on. Like I said, I had some individuals last week say, wow, I wish I knew how to come on because I would have liked to participate. Now, my question to you is, do you feel like I wish I could give everyone a quiz on Black history and see how averse you are in your Black history? Again, Black history is everybody's history. When I did the contest at AT&T, like I said, it was not an African American who had the most knowledge of our Black history. And so I think that's remarkable that other people are aware of our history because it's everybody's history. So I'm going to give you a chance. Don't forget to share this share it, give your comments, let us know that you're on here. I guess I'm going to start off with one of the most prominent persons in Black history, which is George Carter Woodson. Known as the father of Black history, Woodson founded the Association of the Study of African American Life and History. He emphasized the importance of preserving and promoting African American history and culture. And we live in a time when people don't value, especially a lot of young people today, they don't really value the history. If you ask a lot of them, and I don't even think that they, I remember when I was in school, we taught Black history, we dealt with Black History Month during February, but I don't remember, of course, maybe I'm just getting older, but I don't remember if we dealt with it other than that. But even in schools now, I don't know, from what I'm hearing, it's not dealt or not taught now. Some schools are saying you can't teach it. So tell me what your thoughts are. Do you think that Black history should be taught in school? Do you think, especially for Black History Month, do you think there should be a time set aside for talking about Black history? Now, I know some of y'all are super spiritual, and some of y'all probably saying, hey, it's not about Black history. But the scripture said this right here for you. The scripture said, you're in the world, but you're not of the world. That means that because we're in the world, we exist within the world, within the parameters of the world. We don't have to be worldly, but we are within the parameters of the world. I think it's important to be knowledgeable. Know your culture, know your history. I think even in the Bible, God would tell people their history, so they'll know that it took a strong hand to come out of Egypt, because you cannot value your future or where you're at if you don't appreciate or recognize your history. God bless you, Sister West. Praise the Lord to you as well. Amen, my friend from Oklahoma City. God bless you. Sister Walton said, yes, it is history. So I wonder how many of you feel like that you are comfortable with your history. Do you think, let us know if you think that it's a subject that should be discussed. Or, maybe you're too spiritual. You say, well, we don't need to touch that. We just need to talk about church, this, that. But we need to know the history of African Americans, because and even the history of the church. Because many of the hospitals were started by the church, because the church has always been known as a compassionate entity, which means that they were concerned. And even now today, the church should be concerned about people. And if we don't know our history, we will not be able to value where we came from or value where we at. God bless you, my little sister. Praise the Lord, big brother, and Lady Walton. Blessings you both. It's always good to hear from you, Sister Pat. I pray that all is well with you. So those of you that are on here so far, tell me, what do you think? Do you think Black history is important? Do you feel like that you are knowledgeable about Black history? What do you think? Is that something that you think is important? Because I want to go through here and maybe take some notes. There's a lot of men and women who have contributed to our history and where we are at today, and have gone unnoticed, and we don't really recognize who they are and what they've accomplished. So, John Hope Franklin. Franklin was a leading historian of American history, African American history. His seminal work, From Slavery to Freedom, remained a foundational text in the field. Let's see. So Pat says, yes, Black history is very important. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that with us. It is important. Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham, born in 1945, was a distinguished historian. Higginbotham has contributed extensively to the study of African American women's history and the history of religion. So now, okay, so those who are spiritual, she contributed to the history of religion as well. And sometimes we don't realize that there are a lot of African American women that were tremendous contributors um, to our history, and they are responsible for a lot of advancement. And they made some tremendous sacrifices. I think when we look at the history, I think it's important to recognize the sacrifices that were made for you to have an education, because there was a time in this country that African Americans were not allowed to read, were not allowed to learn. And I think it's what's important too is recognize that we take our advancement things we've done for granted. And so we have young people today who don't value education, don't care if they go to school or not, don't care to learn, won't learn, but get in school, and and you know, uh, when you those who may have seen the flyer that I put on here, I had a picture of Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks. Those who are familiar with history, and especially those my age, remember Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was one of the first ones. She was not the first one, but she was one of the first ones that was arrested because she refused to sit on the back in the back of the bus. And there was, as history tells us, there was someone before her, but back then, being pregnant out of wedlock was shunned upon, and so she did not get much press because they just did not acknowledge her. And so when Rosa Parks came along, Rosa Parks was a daycare worker, and she was extremely tired. And remember, back in those days, African Americans were not allowed to sit on the bus, uh, and they had to sit in the back of the bus. And if they ran out of seats, then they had to get up and give their seat. It didn't make any difference. You're male or female, you had to get your seats. All right, Madam C.J. Walker was one. West Montgomery jazz music. All right, sound like Pat knows her history. Very good. And so now I was guilty of that because until I knew my history, I remember when I was in high school, you know, it was nothing for me. I thought I was tough, young teenager. I thought I was bad. I would go sit at the back of the bus because I thought that was cool. But not knowing that there were individuals that came before me that fought for the privilege of me being able to sit anywhere in the bus that I wanted to see, anywhere where there was a seat available. And so if I didn't know my history of that, I would take that for granted. Now I know that. I don't take it for granted. I think we shouldn't take it for granted. And so that's one of the reasons why it's so important to know our history, to know the value of the gains that we receive. Just think about that. Now, a lot of us, what would it be like if you got on the bus today, you're tired, maybe your grandmother got on the bus, someone older, elderly, and they're tired, and they tell them, you have to get back of the bus, uh, and their feet's hurting them, but they can't get a seat, or someone else comes and they have to give up their seat. But this is what our history tells us, and hopefully, as we embrace our African American history, is to just cause you and I to appreciate where we came from. And see, sometimes we can become very dismissive of our history and not think about it. But if we become dismissive and don't think about it, then we can lose those gains that we accomplished and just not value them until they're gone. Now, since Pat says, Madam C.J. Walker, Madam C.J. Walker has a history here in Indianapolis. Madam C.J. Walker was well known for beauty products, well known, one of the first African American female millionaires. So that's important, and that's important to know. But there are those years ago. So when you know your history, you know what you're able to accomplish. Uh, Wes Montgomery, a jazz musician. Okay, Jeremy Cox, praise the Lord, God bless my friend. All right. This is Pat. It's on Lewis Latimer, African American inventor, electronic engineer. So I wonder how many of us are aware of this right here. Do you have a favorite African American person who um, you recognize who was important in your life? Of course, many of us recognize uh, Dr. Martin Luther King and the contribution he made even up to his life. But when we look at these African Americans, historians, and the accomplishments they made, and I can remember, I'm old enough to remember when there was a struggle just to recognize Martin Luther King as the Martin Luther King holiday. When the states first began to start recognizing uh, or trying to decide if they wanted to make that a national holiday. I can remember when it was Black History Week. It wasn't Black History Month. It was a week that they had Black History. And so I think that it's important that we take advantage of this month and realize just how important it is and not just gloss past February. February is known for a lot of things. It's known for Valentine's Day too, and encourage you to remember Valentine's Day. Show some love to somebody for Valentine's Day. Um, Evelyn Brooks Higginbottom. We have Henry Louis Gates Jr., born in 1950. Gates is a prominent scholar of African American literature. His history culture, he is known for his work on the public broadcasting series Finding Your Roots and his efforts to popularize African American history. All right. Pat, you got some good information there. It'd be nice if you can click that link on here and just come on here and share that some of that with us. Humphrey David made the first incandescent light to the Royal Institute in Great Britain. Look at that. How many of us knew that? The first incandescent light was produced by an African American. Now, you have to realize that because we are recognizing our history, that doesn't mean that we are dismissive of any other heritage. No, not at all. But we are acknowledging our heritage. And certainly, if you're an African American, you should be willing to, acknowledge your heritage, and just realize how far we come from. There was times when African Americans could not participate in mainstream athletics. Now they're able to participate in mainstream athletics. Many are entertainers or actors. They were not able to stay at the mainstream hotels. Some of the popular singers, they could sing, they could entertain, but once they got finished entertaining, there were some hotels they could not stay there. They couldn't stay there with the managers or some of the band leaders. This is our history, and as I read my history, I have a great appreciation for the accomplishments, and so with that, it should inspire you to be the best you can be, to represent and be the best African American male or female that you can be, and to strive to excel for excellence. And sometimes I have to admit, we as African Americans sometimes have given our own self a bad rap, and I try to watch what I say because and we just have to be honest. We a lot of times say, well, you know how we are, how are we? how that may be how you are, but I think it's time for us to elevate our status and say, I want people to say, well, you know how he is, that he strives for excellence, not just he's not going to do the job, he's not going to do it, but say because your heritage, because there's other cultures that embrace their heritage and they excel, and they want to be the best, and they want to represent their culture the best they can, and to also be able to better to contribute to society. God bless us, dollar. TV shows show very little prominent blacks other than maids, porters, etc. Um, and that's so true. I can remember one of the very first TV shows where I saw an African American. I remember we were so excited. That was back in the 70s, 60s, or 70s, a show called Julia. I remember the name Julia. I can't even remember who the actress was, but I remember her. She had a son, and many times when they were portrayed, they didn't have a husband. It was just single mom. I remember her son, for some reason, had a son named friend named Corey J. Wagador or something like that. But that was the image, and so these were images that were shaped in our minds until they began to start showing positive images of individuals who were successful. Because at that point, we emulate what we saw, and so if we always saw was waiters and butlers, and nothing wrong with that, but if that's all we saw, then that's what we imitate, and that's all we ascribe for, to just to be that. But we can be more than that. And I think that's why it's important that we recognize the history, is because we realize that we can do more. When you see more, and you see people doing better, it allows you to understand, I can do better. I can accomplish. Uh, Dorothy Dandridge was one of the most well-known stars, as well as Eartha Kitt. And most of these were dancers and singers. Dorothy Dandridge, um, she actually had to go to Europe to get the recognition, because she could. During that time, African Americans were more accepted in Europe than they were here. So many of the prominent actors, they would go to Europe, become popular, and come here, and they were treated like second-class citizens. Eartha Kitt was well known as well overseas. Diana Curl, thank you, Sister Dollar's historian. Diana Curl, the show was called Julia, and I think she may have been a nurse, and that was a pretty big accomplishment. All right, Room 222 actor Lloyd Haynes was from South Bend. Now I never knew that. See, there you go. And so I never knew that. That's excellent to know. Our history, and any culture, any group of people can be successful, but sometimes you have to have a roadmap to let people know that they aren't the only one. And we can't make excuses. Too many times we make excuses. I'm going to say this right here. People make excuses. I never use an excuse for me not succeeding and say, well, there's a lot of racism in this country, and I didn't do this because of racism. Yes, there are challenges. When we look at our history, there's been challenges throughout history, but we have to be able to press past those challenges. We can't use the challenges as an excuse not to be successful, but we have to embrace those challenges and realize, as Christians especially, say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I've had challenges. As African American male, have you had challenges? Yes, I've had some tremendous challenges. Have you been discriminated against? Yes, I've been discriminated against. And people don't like to hear that. People don't believe there's racism, discrimination, but there's bias. There's all kind of bias. There's biases in every culture. There's biases in the church. There's biases in politics. There's biases in religion. Let's be real about it. But we can't use that as an excuse not to perform or not to excel. And you just have to be able to push forward. Where would we be if our founding historians, African Americans, had just decided they won't just give up? What would have happened if Rosa Parks had decided that she wasn't that she just got tired? Well, mainly the reason she sat down, just human nature. The woman was just tired. And y'all know, you work, and you want ever done day work. You work, at the end of the day, you tired. You want to get off your feet. and she wanted to get off her feet, and for that she was arrested. On the flyer, I put it was a picture of her being booked. Can you imagine that? You're paying this. You're paying the same amount of money, but you have to get. And I think, which is another thing, we have to recognize the value of our dollar, our buying power. I think that's one of the greatest things that helped us as African Americans is understanding the value of our dollars. Let me see, Sister Pat says George Washington Carver invented peanut butter, shaving cream, including flour, paste, insulation, skin, lotion, and soap. Wow, that's powerful. Did you know that? I wonder how many of us knew that. Some of that I did know, but they say he did so much with a peanut that they still don't know what all he was able to do. Great mind. God bless us. James said, my person is Jackie Robinson. He was eventually hired in the White League, which subsequently destroyed the Black League. And you're right. He was a tremendous baseball player, but he could only play in the Negro League. So when he was integrated within the white mainstream league, then it did destroy that, and that's what accomplishments. Some of the challenges, and there are individuals who were challenged when it came to progression, because some people say, if in order to go forward, I have to let go of my past, and sometimes we have to let go of our past to go forward, but we don't have to let go of the history of our past and the knowledge of our past to go forward. You can recognize your past and embrace your past and build upon your past. But just think about a lot of these athletes. But what I was saying, one of the things that helped us, and I think Martin Luther King, great civil rights leader, he recognized that, he embraced that. So, all right, you're going to tell us that we're paying the same amount of money and we can't sit anywhere. They didn't care. Sometimes people don't care from a moral standpoint, but when you talk about that economics, when you talk about the value of the dollar, that changes the whole conversation. And so once they began to boycott and said, we are not going to ride on the buses, we're going to walk, and there was a solidarity, that's what caused them to change law. It wasn't that they felt, oh, this poor lady, she's working. No, it wasn't that. We have to realize the value of that dollar. Even today, we need to support our own culture in many cases. We need to, I was at a vending event this weekend, and there were a lot of different vendors, and I wanted to have some of them on the program because they had some great products, and young entrepreneurs and businessmen and women, but it was good to see them and support them. And I tried to support as many as I could. I was there selling my books. My wife, she makes lap scarves and pillows, and she sold quite a bit of those. But there are a lot of very talented and gifted Americans, and sometimes we have to ask God to show us our gifts and our talents, and to see what other people are doing, and support African American individuals who are selling it. Support them, encourage them. And I'm not saying that you can't support. I know somebody may interpret this as being different. I support everybody. I support, mainstream America every day. I don't have a choice because there's things they do, but I do think that I'm not going to overlook. I believe in supporting your family. If I have a family member who is doing something, I see they're doing something good, I'm going to support them. Support your family member. I hate to see people not supporting their family. Support, if you got a family member that has a business and doing something, support. I'm a realtor. Some people don't know I'm a realtor. I have my own real estate company, but I tell people, support your family. I'm gonna have some realtors on here. Sister Jamie, I think it's her sister is a realtor, and I told her I'm gonna have her on here. We have to work together. We have to encourage and support one another. We have to lift up each other. So I think that's important to support your family. I've talked to people sometimes, and they'll tell me I have a family member who does. I said, well, support them, support them. I mean, it may be hard, 'cause everybody wants, those dollars, but I tell them, support your family member if you can. If they're good and they're capable and they're competent, support them. The shows I think Black history is rich, like someone had commented, and also entrepreneurs, investors, strong leaders, and people of faith. Amen. Very good, Sister Walt. So dollars at the Indianapolis Public Library downtown St. Clair has a whole wing center for Black literature and culture, Center for Black Leadership Culture, where all size posters fill the walls of Indiana legends and exhibits of books and music that span decades. Indiana Avenue is showcased. Now that's powerful. Now I don't know how many people knew that. So those who come on It's My Turn now has some very wise men and women on here, a wealth of information right here. And so I think it's important. Teach your children the history. Maybe if we taught more African American young men and women their history, maybe they wouldn't be so quick to kill each other. I've never seen. I'm gonna tell you that's a problem. There's a problem in the African American community when they killing black on black crime. We don't value life. We don't value our freedom, and so we have to do something. We have to change. We have to um, find a way to just say, hey, this is unacceptable. We come too far for this for some of the things that we do. Uh, you know, Sometimes we just carry on any kind of way. We need to kind of conduct ourselves a little bit better. So I'm very supportive of Black business who are doing well. Very good, very good. Um, I think uh, we should support Black people. I remember when I first started in real estate some years ago, and this may shake somebody up, but it's the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. When I first started in real estate, I have friends and family that said, "Well, you know what? You prove yourself, then I'll let you sell me a house." So I had to work hard. I mean, I've been selling real estate now for probably about 41 years, maybe. I had to work hard to prove myself to them, and I got to a place where I was doing so good. I was selling 3 and 4 houses a month part time every month. People were waiting in line because what I did, see, as an African American business, and most of y'all know, you have to work extra hard because we are so hard on African American individual. We are so hard, and I'm gonna make it plain. We're so hard that if you make one mistake, boom, you're through. They're gonna talk about you. They're gonna ostracize you. They're gonna criticize you, and they're gonna tell folks, "Don't go to him. Don't go to him because it's messed up." So I had to make sure I only took 3 to 4 clients at a time. And people said, "Well, will you somehow?" I said, "I will not do it right now." I said, "If you wait, because out of those 3 houses, normally I had a brand new construction going, and so I tell people, you wait because the very first time you try to get me and you say I'm busy, then you're gonna say, well, I'm not gonna go to him." So I had to work extra hard to build up my but once I got good, people were willing to wait in line. But here's the difference. There's a difference in African American and other cultures. Now I had to prove myself, but I know some other cultures. I'm not gonna call it. This is how they looked at it. I hear this, and that's what said. Listen, give my son. My son needs experience. Give him a 500,000, $1 million a deal, so he can get the experience. You see the difference, the dichotomy. I had to prove myself. They wanted their son or daughter to get the experience, so they encouraged their friends to support them. If someone doesn't take a chance and invest in you, you may never be successful. Somebody has to be concerned about you. We as African American, we need to support, and people gonna make mistakes. Now, if they make an honest mistake, forgive them. Don't criticize them. Don't run them down. Now, if they just shysters and don't do the job, you may have to talk about them. I'm sorry, you know. But sometimes if a person makes a mistake, give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Sister Sarah, God bless him, said she's watching. Praise Lord. Give them benefit of the doubt. I remember, I there was a young lady that I was working with, saw a house, someone else talked her into going with them, a different race. And so now this person sells them a house. This is back in the 80s. This is back in the 80s, so that's some time ago. This person sells them a house at that time, $10,000 more than what any house was selling for. And so I was talking to them, and I said, they sold the house to you $10,000 more, but that's all right. It was a pool table. I said, well, they put the pool table in there because they probably didn't want to have to move the pool table. But this is we have to be careful. African American race. I'm just gonna be honest with you. We have to be careful that we aren't not so hard on each other and ease up. And so she said, well, that's all right. I don't mind. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. Now, had that been me, African American male, and they found out that I sold instead of making excuses for it, she said, you know that Anthony Walton, he was no good. He sold me a house. I found out the house worked. And they'd have told the mama, the daddy, the cousin, next door neighbor, we need to stop that madness. Stop that madness. Support one another. Encourage one another. Lift each other up. No time for, we are so quick to tear each other down. And so when we understand our culture and the value and our rich heritage, maybe we can stop that. And when we embrace Black History Month and realize that we who we are. Now, we're not just who we are as African American, but who we are as the children of God. Learn to encourage each other. Learn to support each other. Learn to embrace each other. Build each other up as African Americans. Don't criticize and tear each other down. Sister Sheila, God bless you, says, amen. We got to encourage. We are too quick. Folks, people like they take it as a badge of honor to run somebody down. Sometimes they'll run you down without even understanding what you're able to do. You know what? True story. This is a true story. I can go on. I had a unit, a triplex. And I learned my lesson. I have some African American men, contractors, who I contract gave me the lowest bid. You know how some of us let me use my words, because we don't want to use, I talked them down. I don't want to use no ethnic term, but I talked them down on the price. And so sometimes because African Americans don't have the resources that some other people have, they don't have resources, then they have to take a cut. And sometimes we take advantage of that. I took advantage of it. In the 80s, I took advantage of it. I apologize. I realized I did wrong. I took advantage, and I cut the price down. The first 2 days, the gentleman was on it. They was on it. And they ran out of money. They ran out of funds. Why? Because I talked them down on the price. And so what happened, it was coming close to winter. They didn't have the funds to finish. So they're moving slow. So I said, listen, I need this roof done. You don't can't do it. They had gone 2/3 of the roof. So I hired another gentleman, another culture. I hired him and said, hey, listen, whoever you did, they did an excellent job. You only need about 10 more shingles and you'll be finished. And so I said, okay, I paid them in advance. I was out of town this time. I was out of town. I was busy doing a whole lot of stuff. I had a whole lot going on, working full time, working 18 doing real estate. And so I paid them. Next thing I know, these individuals, man, they jacked me up. They changed. They had small print in the contract, and they socked it to me. I ended up paying out my wazooza for that roof. But I learned a valuable lesson. Quit trying to talk people down off their prices. Because everybody, sometimes, especially African American people, when they first get in the business, they can't get discounts. And when the hair products, some African American cannot buy products as cheap as some other culture. They just can't do it. So sometimes we got to support each other, even if you got to pay a little bit extra. You have to pay a little bit extra. Be willing to pay a little bit extra. Let's support our own, and don't always trying to fault in your culture. We forever trying to find fault in one another and build each other up. So dollars is working in the medical community. Doctors always had their children working in the labs and bartering with other businesses and made deals to marry their children while in office. Our race doesn't operate like that. That's so true. Think about that. You know, they're networking, they're connecting. They have those kids in there at a young age. Let them kids watching what they're doing. Bring your kids around you. Show your kids, and that's why this Black History is important. Let your children know how important their heritage is. Let them know the importance that they value, that they can't take the accomplishments that people fought and died for. Martin Luther King gave his life when he was assassinated. It was coming because he was trying to support the sanitation workers who have such a rough job dealing with your trash, my trash. He gave his life for that. So we need to learn our value. Pat says, let's remember Maya Angelou, James Baldwin, and Muhammad Ali. Those some very prominent people. Muhammad Ali, I have a shadow box with autographed boxing glove with Muhammad Ali. Have his ticket when he was a Golden Glove fighter. And the challenges he made. You know, another thing that Muhammad Ali did and Martin Luther King did is that they stripped Muhammad Ali of his title because he was against the war. He was against the war in Vietnam. He said, "Why should I go over there and fight them people's war? And they ain't done nothing to me." Martin Luther King subscribed to some of the same philosophy, and they were hated and despised for that. Again, Muhammad Ali, he had to be stripped of his title, but he was able to come out. The jail came out, and he was able to regain his title. We must recognize the history. We must focus on history. If we don't pass it, so true. We don't understand our history. We're doomed to repeat the mistakes and the failures of our past. We must learn. Bishop Chin, God bless it. Crispus Attucks, one of the first to die for the American Revolution. Attucks High School acknowledged his impact here in the city. So true. Named the school after him. And so some of those who may go to Crispus Attucks High School may not even know why they named Crispus Attucks and the significance behind that. And they should. I went to school 87. Julian Coleman. That's a lot of history. We need to find our history and embrace our history. Since Jamie says, years ago, my husband and I could not buy a house in this particular state, and in several of the properties, the deeds stated no buyers of Negro, Indian, Mexican, or Latino heritage could never buy their property. Is something that still happens. You know what, Sister Jamie? That is that's a good point, Sister Jamie. They call that redlining. They steer people to certain areas and they prohibit. And you're right. A lot of that's still going, but we have to be educated. If we're not educated, we don't know. I remember when I first bought my first house. I thought my realtor, and see, we have to be careful because sometimes people say they treat you real nice, they say all the right things, but they're beating you at the exact same time. My realtor spoke very nice, Mr. Walton. We're glad to have, but it was not until I got my license as realtor, she was actually redlining me. She directed me to an area that was not a good area at the time, and she did not do her due diligence as a realtor to give me the best deal. She just didn't care. There are situations I can tell a lot of situations. I knew a person bought a house and the realtor showed them a house at nighttime. And when they bought the house, bless their heart, when they bought the house, a big old hole in the middle of the floor. There's a carpet. They didn't know it. The people would take advantage. If you don't know, people would take advantage of you. And so, but we don't realize that there are laws that prevented racial discrimination in housing, in the housing industry. That wasn't always so. And so if we don't appreciate our history, we don't recognize that or realize that there was laws that were established to keep us. Bishop, you missed Or comment. Okay, which comment did I miss, Pat? Which comment? Okay, Pat, tell me which comment I missed. I do that from time to time between talking and trying to read it. If you can put the comment again, which other comment? If you can, let me see. I think maybe is this the one right here? Benjamin Sherman Scatman. Oh, there you go. Scatman Carruthers was a movie star and was from Terre Haute. Didn't know that. He also provided voice of Mellow Larkin Lemon in the Harlem Globetrotter animated TV series. I think that's the one. Thank you for letting me know that, Pat, because I sure didn't. It wasn't intentional, but like I said, when you get a little bit old. Now I see another comment I missed. Please let me know if I missed your comment. So Sarah said, I like this talking about Black history. Thank you for those. If you like this subject, let us know. There's a lot of information, and we really need to know this right here. It just helps. It helps you to have pride in ourselves, to know that, I mean, there are those who fought odds through all types of odds for us to get where we are. And when I look at Dr. Martin Luther King, the challenge that he had, and sometimes we take Martin Luther King holiday just as a day off that I can take off and not do anything. Like I said at the beginning of the program, uh, when I worked at AT&T, I worked half the day because I wanted to be able to uh, show, because I was the only black male in my office. Well, I was only black male in the whole building, to be honest with you. So I knew I probably would have been the only person that took off because it was optional. But I worked half a day. The first half of the day, I would work and present program to recognize the African American history and to let other people know that I valued it myself. Because if you don't appreciate it, how you expect other people to appreciate it? And I was amazed that everybody's not racist. There are a lot of people that embrace their history. Like I said, when I had the contest, the person who won the contest was not an African American. So let us know some people value our history even more so than we do. Let me see, where am I at now? If I forget to, let me know. Sister Myrna, God bless you. This is a great conversation. I encourage us to know who we are and what it has taken us to get where we are at. That's so important. Like I said, if we know who we are, we should have pride in ourselves and teach our children to have pride. Because I look at the young men and women today, just the things they're doing, they don't have seem to have pride in themselves. And I'm not saying everybody's like that, but if we can learn to respect our culture and learn to respect one another, even the way we talk, the names we call each other, we have to build ourselves. Sometimes we're not careful, we're our own worst enemies. Okay, I would love for people to join me on a virtual conversation on Saturday about whitewashing. Just tell us how, Myrna. Just tell us how. Put in the link here. Tell us how we can the link or whatever it is, and I think we want to support you. If anyone else knows of any Black History events that are going on, I missed the event on Saturday. I think they're having later on. There was a book, a display of Black authors. I think they had it somewhere on Post Road or Mid for one, and I missed it on Saturday. I don't know if they're going to have that again. There are some events that I think is good. I think it's good to see other people doing. You can be inspired. You can be motivated when you see other people. Bring your kids. Let your kids see inspired. By the way, I saw where Myrna, I saw where Terry Cummings was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I was proud of him. Uh, Pat Bishop, the comment is under the comment you read about Maya Angelou and Muhammad Ali and James Baldwin. Listen, I'm gonna ask you, Pat, can you resubmit the comment, because that means I have to go back, and if I go back there, I might miss someone else. So if you do me a favor, have patience with this man, who sometimes I miss things. So if you can rewrite the comment, Pat, I guarantee that I will read it. Thank you. So, Myrna, Zoom, join Zoom meeting. There you go. She's got the link there. Let me see. Did you tell us what time the time is going to be? Shared about. Okay. Okay, you told the conversation. You want to let us know what time it's going to be, Sister Myrna. Anybody else has any events going on? Please let us know when the event is going to be. Or trying to post a flyer. Very good. Please do that. Please do it. So there's a way that you can get information for another Black History program. So I'm sure if Sister Myrna is doing, I'm sure she will do a fantastic job. She always does things on a professional level. Very, very talented, very educated, gifted young lady. Let me see. Okay, well, she's posting a link there. Manny Marble. Marble is a prolific scholar whose work explored in various aspects of African American history. Uh, there are a number of people I can go on. David Livingston Lewis, born in 1936, is a Pulitzer Prize winning historian known for his biographies of W.E.B. Du Bois and other influential figures in African American. You know, one of the things that I realize now that as I gotten older, I don't remember being people emphasize the importance of African American writers and writing. And I guess I've gotten older. Since I've gotten older, I recognize the importance of writing and reading. Reading is so powerful. There's so much knowledge when you just pick up a book. There's so much knowledge there, and we have so much information at our fingertips about whatever subject. Uh, oh yeah, congrats to our friend Terry Cumming. Um, Yeah, there's so much knowledge, and for those who don't like to read, because some people just don't like to read, they have books, audio books. I mean, so there's so much knowledge out there. I mean, it's free, and so there's no excuse not to know and not to learn and not to take advantage of the resources. Now, I'm gonna ask a question, Elsa Pat. How many of you out here that are here? How many of your churches have mentioned Black History Month? How many of your churches have encouraged you to support something Black History Month? Yeah, see, and I think it's important that because I say let's support Black History Month, that's not minimizing any of the culture. That's not saying I'm a radical. It's saying I'm saying simply find out about Black history. I don't care if you're Black or white, if you are Caucasian, Hispanic, Jewish, whatever you call it. It's important to find out about Black because as you find out about Black uh, history and heritage, you can able to understand the cultural difference. One of the things in counseling I found out that a lot of the therapists had challenges when it dealt with Black culture. They knew the theories and things like that, but they had problems relating to African American culture. When I first worked in Evansville, Indiana, I was the only African American male that was in the building full time, and there was a lot of interviews told me say, I've never worked. I've never worked with a Black person. Someone told me the only time I ever seen a Black guy was in the mall with a do rag on the head or on the news, and so that's what they saw. Now, if the only person you see is somebody with a do rag on their head and somebody with the pants hanging down, then that's not quite a good image of. And but I think someone said something earlier is that what was portrayed on TV is what people identify as what African Americans were. And so if all you see is folks on there in the worst light, then that's what your image of all African American people are the same. And so we've had to be able to show people there is a difference. So when I got there, uh, you know, I was able to change some of those stereotypes. And, you know, I it was some challenges. So some were really steep with it. You can imagine somebody 25, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old and not worked around Black people before or Black men and say they had some prejudged ideals. but I was able to change some of those negative concepts, and I developed some tremendous relationship. Love those folks, man. We had some. We were close, and I didn't see them as black or white. I saw them as my coworkers, as my friend. But it's through understanding. And so when I say Black history, I don't want somebody to say, "Well, he's talking about Black history." No, it's everybody's history. So I want us to look at it in the proper perspective. Were you black or white? Let me see, make sure I don't miss anything. Bitch, our culture don't stick together. They're jealous. They don't lift us up in their business. And you're right. Me of us. But I think we have been conditioned somehow to criticize our own culture. I remember when I first started selling real estate, someone told me, I will not have a black realtor. I said, that's terrible. I said, why won't you have a black realtor? I don't want a black realtor. You have to give them a chance. If you're going to not support your own, how are you going to expect somebody else to support your own? So I had to prove myself. Like I said, I had to prove myself as a realtor. But once I proved myself, then the door, but just think how long it took me where I had to prove myself to some of those same people. They had gotten 1 or 2 houses before they finally said, "Well, I heard you doing good. Someone told me you sold them a house, and I want you to sell my house." But just think how they could have been blessed to me, and I could have been blessed to someone else had they been willing to work with me. Like some cultures say, give my son $400 or $500. I never get. I worked a lady, and she said, she said, I want to teach my daughter some responsibility. So I just gave her a $10,000 credit card. I said, you want to teach me some responsibility? The concept was my child has to learn some kind of way. Now that's a lot of money. Most of us don't have that kind of money just to give our kids. But she's saying, I'm going to teach her responsibility by entrusting her. And so sometimes we won't help someone. We want to help them by giving them something. They have to work hard and sweat and do everything else before we entrust them with what we have. And I think we have to not be jealous of each other, support. I'm a realtor. I have my own real estate company, Walton Realty Group, but I'm going to have, and with the next 30 days, I'm going to have some realtors on here. Sister Jamie, her, Rose, Maxie, their sister is a realtor. I'm going to have her on the program. See, what God has for you has for you. You don't have to be jealous of anybody. Let's support one another. Support one another. It's not going to take anything away from you. Be a blessing to someone else. Sometimes people want everything. Sometimes I tell people, help this person right here. Help this person. Remember, I support Black History. Marvin Ellison, born in 1966, and owned the Lowe's store. See, there you go. And yeah, you guys are on it because I didn't know that. That I didn't know. We have to get out of that mindset. So right, you're so true, Myrna. We have to get out of that mindset. Listen. Again, I told you I learned the hard way. We have to watch what we say. I talked the person down. What we normally say. I'm not going to say, but I talked him down on his price, African American, and then I paid because I let somebody else, and they're the ones who took advantage of me. Had I paid him more and not try to talk him down, and we always try to talk African American people down, and we do. We try to talk them down. So and I had to catch myself because we all like to save money, but I had to catch myself. I'm saying, hey, sometimes I'll pay them a little bit more. Don't always try to talk people down. Be a blessing to somebody sometimes. Pay them what they want. Give them a tip and see if God won't bless you. So we have to support each other. Don't take advantage. Don't take advantage. That's why sometimes people don't want to work with us because people want to take advantage of. Sometimes we take advantage of our own families. That's your own culture, your own family members. We gotta quit taking. We got to change. Like Myrna said, we got to change that mindset. Myrna says that's enough for all of us. That's why I said that's enough pie for everybody. I will say this right here too. When I sold real estate, when I first started selling real estate, I have never tried to be the client. because I said I don't have to get the whole pie. Sometimes we hurt ourselves because we can be greedy. There's some folks that are crooked out there. There's some contractors out there that are crooked. Not all African Americans are crooked, but there are some out there that will take advantage of us. We got to change the mindset. Don't try to get over on one another. Let's support one another, and that's why some people don't stay in business long because they don't have good ethics. I always feel like this way. I try to work harder than the average person when it comes to counseling, real estate, selling houses, my books, seminars, relationship seminars, whatever I do. I try to represent. First of all, I try to represent God. I try to represent my family. I try to represent my culture. I don't want to be an African American man that's not doing his job. The folks talking about somebody look at him, and I want people to look at me and say, "This is an African American man that's striving to be the best and do the best job he can." And so, if we take everything serious, what we do, and realize the importance of how what you do will affect other people, and I will say this right: there's always someone watching you. There's always someone watching you. Don't think that when you don't think someone's watching, there's someone watching. So be the very best you can. We human, we make mistakes. Let's learn. Let's, as African Americans, let's be a beacon of light. Because here's what happened. I'm gonna say this right here, and maybe it's because it's getting late. I'm getting tired, and folks know when a certain time I'm more transparent. Sometimes people talk about us because we ain't do we give them a reason to talk about. Don't give people a reason to talk about you, and then say they talking about me because no, they ain't talking about you because you're African American. They're talking about you because you ain't doing your job. Do your job. Now, if you're doing your job and folks talking about you, there's nothing you can do about that. But keep on doing the right thing. But if you're not doing your job, all you doing perpetuating those negative stereotypes. Let's as we focus on Black History Month, let's change those stereotypes. Let's support. I'm gonna encourage you, support an African American business before the month's over. Don't talk about them. If you go into there's a market on 38th Street, African American. If you go in there and maybe he doesn't have what you want there, maybe the shelf is don't really your favorite milk or your favorite sausage or eggs or whatever. Don't talk about them. Keep on supporting them. And if there's something that you don't like, go to the manager. Say you don't have to tell everybody run the man's business down. And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm using that example because let me clarify that because I don't want anyone to think that that's what happened. That has not happened. I know, but I'm saying any business, don't run the person down. Go to that person, get an understanding. Say, sir, I came in because if when you go Kroger's and some of these other stores, Walmart, you're not gonna always talk about them. You're gonna keep on going there. If you have bad experience with Walmart, you're gonna say, I ain't going no Walmart. But if you have many times we have a bad experience with African American persons, I ain't dealing with no more African American. Don't let one bad apple cause you to say I ain't gonna support all of them. That's really totally unnecessary. Listen, I'm running out of time. I appreciate all the comments here. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you enjoyed this segment. It's my turn now. Realizing the importance of Black history and what does it mean to you. And even as we leave, let me know. Type in the message. What does it mean to you? I like to know what does Black History Month mean to you. Is that important to you? Do you think it's something that you focus on, or you just don't think much about it? Sarah says, "I agree. Get an understanding." So true. Because sometimes people misunderstand. So and the story I told you about the gentleman, the roofer, I went back and apologized to the guy. I said, "I'm sorry." And from now, I learned going forward. I'm not going to try to talk down the price of a lot of people. I'm not going to do it. I'm trying. If anything, I'm going to labor's worth is higher. If and their costs are often more because they don't have the resources to get the discounts. A lot of times, people who have money, they have resources. Their price, their bottom line, is a lot less than a lot of minorities. We have to recognize that. So support. If you have to pay a little bit more, that's all right. Just pay just a little more, As long as they're not gouging you, go ahead. Don't worry about paying. You'll get it another way. God will bless you. So let's support one another. Let's encourage one another. Let's pray as I'm ready to leave. Pray for this violence in this city. Uh, we are better than this right here. African American people, we are better than this right here. It's too much killing. We got to be example. Get support. The churches need to get involved. I asked a question: has your church said anything about Black history? What is your church doing about this teen violence? It's too many young people are dying. Young people are dying. They have the whole life ahead of them, dying, or they're not dying. They're going to jail. We got to take this thing serious. God bless us. Jamie said, put in a plug for my son's business, which is Pacific Service LL. Check it out on Facebook. Thank you for sharing. If you want to, says Jamie, put the link on here. Anybody who knows of an African American business, put a link on there. Feel free to put a link on there, and we just have to support each other. I have no problem. It's my turn now. That's the name of this program. So when you get ready to put that link on, say it's my turn now, and so feel free to share that because there are a lot of people who come on here afterwards and they come on here and they give comments afterwards. So I do see those comments when people leave. A lot of people say, I don't watch the program while it's live, but I wait till after it's over to watch it. So feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget to share. Please share. Someone share with a friend. Sister Myrna said, we are better. Yes, we need to get involved. Yes, we have to take it seriously. We have to take it serious. Our next generation, if we're not careful, we're going to lose our next generation. Too many people are dying, gun violence, jail, young men now, teenagers being tried as an adult. We've got to do better. The church has to do better. I'm encouraging, go to your church. And I ask, and if your church not doing anything, don't talk about your church. Don't talk about your pastor. Go to your pastor. Say, Pastor, what can I do? Or if you have an idea of something you like to do, tell your pastor, Pastor, I'd like to get this done. This is an idea I have. Share. Most pastors are very open. If you approach properly, it takes a whole village. I guess that's going to be my last mark. It takes a whole village. Be a part of the village. Let's do better. Listen, God bless you. Thank you once again for joining this week's episode. It's my turn now. We'll see you next week. Again, if you have a subject or something that you would like to talk about, please inbox me, let me know, text me, or whatever. Let me know about your suggestion for the program. I have a lot of things that I'm going to talk about. Sometimes people tell me, and I try to pray and ask God when's the best time. There's not a topic that I'm afraid to address, but I believe Scripture has a time and season for everything. So I try to seek the mind of God when it's the best time to address. But there's not a subject. If it interests you, then it interests me. I have no problem discussing it. I think this is going to be the last one. Pat said, Bishop, this was one of the news. There was an African couple trying to sell their home, and their agent was a different color and appraised the home at a low price. So they asked their friend that was their agent color and took down all of their black pictures, and their agent came back out and appraised the home at 1.2 million. Yeah, I saw that. That's true. I saw that, and that's reality. And sometimes we have to make people aware, because there's some people that don't really think there's any racism or discrimination, but when we see this, we have to make it known, because there's some people until you experience it. And there's some African Americans that have been so blessed that they have not been discriminated against, or shall I say knowingly. Because sometimes this couple, if they hadn't sent another person out there and took the initiative to go ahead and change things around, they would have never known. There a lot of people been discriminated against and did not even know that they were discriminated against. So that's so true. A lot of times that's real. I tell people sometimes I hate to say it, I tell people take your pictures out so that people won't know whose house it is, because it unfortunately it makes a difference. So we were talking about whitewashing and how it impacts the history in schools, which will impact the workplace, or who is in power in the workplace. Please join. I try to catch you every week because your conversation is valuable. But thank you, Myrna. I appreciate that. And Myrna, I think if you know how to get in touch with me, please feel free to text me and let me know, because I do forget sometimes. A lot of times I want to get on different programs, but I'll forget, and I would certainly love to be a part of that. Blessing to you, brother and Lady Walton. Love you. We love you too. You know we do. That they also sue the company, well, which rightfully they should have done. Listen, uh, all right. Let me see, Myrna. I will text you. Sounds good. Text me ahead of time. Okay. Jamie, I called this time. I almost missed that one. So it's my turn. Link Facebook.com Pacific Services. Thank you. Appreciate that. I almost missed you again, Jamie. I'm on top of this week. But listen, I appreciate you guys week after week supporting. Please feel free, like Jamie did, if you know a business, support her son, uh, encourage him, um, help him out, help one another out, and maybe we'll just bombard this with um, different business. Let us know. I received a lot of business cards at the I don't want to say it's just book signing, but people had all type of projects that they had. So, uh, so I'm going to have some of them on here, and so before the month is over, I'm going to have 1 week where we're going to have like 2 or 3 um, vendors. That's what was the vendors, the African American vendors, to come on here and showcase what they have, because they're talented. Some were selling candles, some with different prices, some insurance. There's one person who um, did house clean services. So a lot. I would tell people this right here, and I guess I'm like a preacher. Say one last thing, but I would say, I tell people, if you can't find a job, create a job. Create a job. God can help you. God can give you the wisdom to create a job if you can't find a job. So don't make excuses if you're not working. Just pray and ask God to direct you. Scripture said, lean not to your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. God bless you. Thank you once again